Hello and welcome back to Will's World, where we don't just have one obsession, we have 100. Today's video is going to be a very positive celebration of the Lionesses' victory last night over Spain to retain their Euro crown. So normally I would have done kind of updates throughout the tournament, mostly on England games, etc., and team selections and things like that. However, obviously been on a little bit of a hiatus due to moving house and a few other bits, so I've probably only been able to make this video at the end of the tournament. I have watched every single England match, haven't really watched any of the other matches just because I hadn't had the time. But I've made sure to tune into the England matches, and they've all kind of been like 8 o'clock, I think, up until yesterday, which was great to a degree, but then obviously England played so many extra times, and obviously they already had one penalty shootout earlier in the tournament, so they were quite late finishers, which hasn't been ideal considering how tired we've been and stuff. But I made the point to watch them, and I actually watched a few of them with my 10-year-old daughter Hermione. You'll see her on some of my videos, and she's got her own channel, and that was like a really heartwarming moment because she doesn't really show much interest in the men's football, and not that I kind of do either, really watch any of it anymore. I took her to see some live matches of both women and men, and she's been interested, but not as I remember kind of myself as a bit younger. I found like 90 minutes quite hard to deal with, and sometimes even today I find 90 minutes quite hard to deal with. It was really heartwarming, nice moments for me to be able to share that with her, and also do the Euro sticker book that came out this year, which I'm not sure if it's the first ever. I know it's not the first ever women's sticker book because I've got some from the WSL, but I wonder if it's the first ever kind of international tournament sticker book. I'm not sure. So I might do a video on that as well, where we've got some more packets to open. Hopefully do that with Hermione. Well, getting back to the point, which was just an amazing tournament for England. I think I just want to make the point straight out the bat that what I get from watching women's football that I don't get from watching men's football is that kind of innocent aspect to it. Taking me right back to, say, my first experience of watching England, which was all the way back in 1998 for the 98 World Cup. Obviously it was Glenn Hoddle, it was the whole Beckham, kicking out at Simeone, which I remember vividly afterwards, like my granddad having from the Sun or something like that, they printed out a dartboard that you could print out a dartboard template that of David Beckham's face that you could put on your dartboard at home, which is just insane to think of considering where his career, in particular England career, went from then on. But before all of that kind of happened, I remember collecting the sticker book for 1998 and watching some of the actual lessons were cancelled at school because England playing was a big deal, and we could watch the match when it was during school time, stuff like that, which was my kind of first capturing by England, by English football. I'd previously had the year before when Barnsley had managed to get into the Premier League for their first and only time so far, which is a big so far, but yeah, so I'd already kind of been bitten by the bug, had the sticker book, and was aware, even at that age, of the significance of Barnsley getting into the Premier League at that time. My dad and my uncle and all their friends and stuff, it was a huge deal. So yeah, I remember just being captivated by the first time. It was, interesting, all the bright colours of the kits, the badges, collecting all the shiny stickers, and like I say, being captivated by this thing that was obviously more powerful than school lessons sometimes, and was influencing every aspect of life. But with that came that sense of, like I say, just innocent wonder of, wow, this is, really, I'm trying to find the words to describe it, but basically it just became just fun to watch, and the Lionesses to me and this tournament have reignited that a little bit. They did so after their first victory, which was insane really when you think about it, after everything, COVID and all the rest of it that had come out of that, and then for them to be the first kind of senior side to win a major tournament since 1966, before the men have even had real sniff of it. It's just outstanding, and I think it should be praised. And yeah, I could be making a video here on how women's football sport is still disrespected. And with the growing popularity of it, though, how, you know, elements such as the racist abuse, the diving, the conning, you know, the stuff like that that has unfortunately infected the men's game, has shown it a little bit. Obviously, not to any kind of degree where we're all kind of, you know, laughing at some of these players for their theatrics and stuff, but my concern is that that might kind of make its way in there, and I'd lose that kind of interest, because it wasn't just that kind of stuff in men's football that made me kind of leave. You know, I used to have a season ticket. I didn't want to do that anymore because I just became very disenfranchised with it, disillusioned, for lots of reasons. Just the corruptness, all the allegations, you know, so many allegations against footballers. So how can you possibly invest in a player or a team sometimes where, you know, they've got these players who they're continuing to play despite all these horrific allegations against them, and, you know, they're basically just a lack of morals in not just in that area but in general, it seemed like. And so I just, you know, took a break from it. So watching this Lionesses side, watching the incredible passion, you know, people like Lucy Bronze, who we now found out has been playing with a broken tibia for the entire tournament, a fractured tibia was it. You know, the passion of Chloe Kelly coming off the bench, and, you know, even though she's not starting to make that difference, Michelle Agyemang, you know, just an amazing tournament for her, and she is going to be, you know, a top player going forward. And, you know, all the squad, you know, even Jeff Carter, who's obviously got a lot of stick, did fantastically well last night, and I think, you know, it's just been an amazing thing to watch. And I don't know, it was weird last night because before the last Euros, like when obviously it was such a huge deal if they'd won, I was ridiculously nervous and ridiculously stressed. But even yesterday morning, I just felt like quietly confident. Whether that was more quietly confident in the fact that regardless of how they did, they had a really good tournament. They've already won it once. You know, maybe use it as a building ground for the next World Cup, which will be the target now. But yeah, I just felt kind of chill about it. And then when we went 1-0 behind, it wasn't like panic stations. Obviously, throughout the entire tournament, from the first defeat to France to then being behind in almost every match, I don't know, there was a sense that we would get a chance, and that we'd probably take it. And I was hoping that we'd kind of wrap it up 90 minutes, and then I was hoping we'd wrap it up in extra time. And then as penalties hit, I don't know, there was a weird sense of, I was definitely nervous, but I also kind of just felt like, you know, obviously having that practice run earlier in the tournament may have stood us in good stead. And it did, you know, and like I say, for the 90 minutes, you know, Spain were probably the better side, they had the most possession. However, the tactics of Wiegman, which we couldn't foresee, but she could, which was let Spain almost lull them into a false sense of security by, you know, instead of just going out and out press and exhausting yourselves, you know, dropping back a little bit. And I think Lucy Bronze at one point was seen to, you know, be saying, look, just drop back, just almost lull them into that sense of security of that, oh yeah, well, we are tired, so we can't press. But obviously that resilience kind of came in, and we had a couple of chances before Spain scored, and they took their goal quite well. But I don't know, I just got a sense of a little bit of arrogance from the Spanish players, and then, you know, the theatrics that they pulled off to con the ref were not great. I'm not saying England don't do that. I haven't done that in the past. Earlier in the tournament, Georgia Stanway had that. Was it the penalty maybe that, you know, she went down fairly easily for? But I usually feel like with England, it's almost a responsive tactic for players and teams that are doing it against them in order to kind of even the playing field, rather than a Wiegman sending them out there to do that, which I think for some teams is the case with their managers. So then when we got our goal back, which was a great goal, obviously Chloe Kelly came on. I know Lauren James has got a lot of stick for starting the match, and I don't know, yeah, it's one of those, and I think you had to give her the chance because, you know, her in particular, she's been, you know, key player for England. You know, has she perhaps achieved as much as we thought she might in this tournament? But nonetheless, she's played a huge part in it, and she deserved to at least have a crack at the final, especially not being in the squad the last time they won the Euros. But yeah, it probably wasn't how it wanted to end for her, having to go off. But at least she played, you know, minutes in that final, and she had a few good chances, but it just wasn't to be due to her injury and her fitness. But obviously that led the way for Chloe Kelly to come in, which was fantastic because she's just been, you know, outstanding, and her passion is very infectious, as is Lucy Bronze and Michelle Edgebang and all the other the Lionesses. Obviously, we've got Leah Williamson, the captain, as well. Russo. I mean, all of them have done amazing, and it's brought back so many nice nostalgic feelings, and I'm excited